Vom vorbi astăzi, așadar, despre noile dezvăluiri privind viața lui Mihai Eminescu, dar nu înainte de a da cuvântul chiar domnului Mihai Eminescu, așa cum o facem de fiecare dată. Invitatul nostru, special, permanent și tutelar. Unul dintre defectele cele mari ale noastre e că, departe de a ne ocupa cu fondul lucrurilor, credem că e de ajuns să avem numai forma lor, asemenea copiilor, care, voind a-și face o florărie, smulg plante din câmp și le așează fără rădăcini în straturi, improvizându-și pentru câteva ceasuri o grădină în aparență frumoasă, însă fără trăinicie. Nerăbdători cum suntem, nu ne-am deprins a cunoaște cum că lucrurile luate din temei ar fi și mai trainice și mai folositoare și totodată cu mult mai ieftine decât mulțimea de forme goale, care, neavând înțeles și vitalitate, cer mereu muncă decisiv de a fi reînnoite. Nestatornicia noastră, iubirea de schimbări, deasa răsturnare a tuturor temeliilor statului și rivalitatea copilărească de a întrece pe toată lumea a făcut atât în trecut cât și în prezent ca să irosim o mulțime de puteri care se puteau utiliza pe un teren folositor, pe lucruri de nimic sau de-a dreptul stricăcioase. Aceste defecte mari ale caracterului nostru național sunt, pe lângă împrejurările de din afară, cauza pentru care un element etnic atât de răspândit ca al nostru să nu ajungă la nicio însemnătate în lume, ci, bucățit între zeci de stăpâni, să reziste aici și colo, să fie absorbit, însă în multe locuri. Nu există un stat în Europa Orientală, nu există o țară de la Adriatică până la Marea Neagră care să nu cuprindă bucăți din naționalitatea noastră. Începând de la ciobanii din Istria, de la morlacii din Bosnia și Herțegovina, găsim pas cu pas fragmentele acestei mari unități etnice în munții Albaniei, în Macedonia și Tesalia, în Pind ca și în Balcani, în Serbia, în Bulgaria, în Grecia, până sub zidurile Atenei, apoi de dincolo de Tisa începând, în toată regiunea Daciei Traiane, până dincolo de Nistru, până aproape de Odessa și de Kiev. Pe când rușii au cea mai mare îngrijire pentru triburile cele mai neînsemnate, chiar care se țin de familia slavă, pe când germanii stăruiesc prin autoritățile lor consulare pentru cele mai neînsemnate colonii ale lor din Orient, și pe când fiecare popor apusean dezvoltă o deosebită îngrijire pentru naționalii săi din aceste locuri, singur noi ne zbuciumăm în lupte interne pentru cea mai bună formă posibilă a organizării omenești, neavând un ideal de cultură, ci cel mult idealuri politice care nu stau în proporții cu puterile noastre și care, în loc de a da naștere la fapte, vor fi cel mult cauza unor aventuri periculoase. Mihai Eminescu, Timpul, 26 septembrie 1878. Domnilor, v-aș ruga să comentați. Dacă domnul profesor Florin Gheorghe.
Al cita pe Simion Mehedințiu, care a scris o carte excepțională, Optimismul lui Eminescu, și începe așa: la întrebarea unui tânăr care cărți ar trebui să se afle sub ochii românului cu grijă pentru ziua de mâine, am pus în frunte operele lui Eminescu. Mai mult decât oricare altul, credem că el poate fi îndrumătorul neamului românesc, deoarece intuiția sa genială a pătruns mai departe decât analiza fragmentară a istoricilor, a etnografilor, filologilor, pedagogilor, economiștilor și a tuturor oamenilor politici. Am citat din Optimismul lui Eminescu.
Dacă vreți să puneți, să localizați pe carte, da. Țineți așa până când...
Optimismul lui Eminescu conține 3 conferințe pe care le-a ținut la Academie, celebru academician, și care sunt un exemplu de cum trebuie scris și studiat Eminescu ca îndrumător al neamului românesc. Și nu trebuie privit ca un pesimist, ci Eminescu este un optimist.
Let's start the work. This day will be a bit shorter because that's the situation. I went to sleep with, of course, some inconveniences at a teeth, but anyway, I woke up with a bigger mouth than usual, and in the evening I need to visit my dentist. So let's watch something I found, which I actually stopped at the introduction after only 1 minute or 2 minutes about brakes, but the concept for me it's spot on, and rechaptering the same situation with the balancing whatever thing in a fine way, with the importance of both front and rear as elements, as power, as control, as whatever. Like for example with the X discussion about this beautiful bike here, Comensal Meta 2016. It's a play with millimeters, not with kilometers, for example, so more is better somehow. And in all of the aspects, of course, small details matters. They can make a big effect, and hopefully in a control environment, not in a surprised moment, which can bring difficulties or whatever inconveniences. Let's watch a bit more about brakes, about systems again, so we can understand the same thing. This is also a practice, because for me, for example, to play that good with a bicycle, of course nothing happened overnight, like this beautiful Joe here, which is almost round, not sharp and ugly like the standard one. But the idea is, the more you repeat and the more you practice, better you are at the same specific thing. And then as a process, from a practice with a conscious decision, it become automat, a reflex, for example, and even the subconscious mind can select a system of multiple reflexes. So from one reflex, 20 reflexes or whatever, you can create, like in the neuronal brain stuff, the connections between the elements, which neuroplasticity say that works and happens miraculously, so it's not a pattern, which involves also creativity and the magic of the nature, which can operate in each individual in a different way. So that's why we also repeat or come on the same thing in essence, but with a different form, so we can fill our mind with the quantity, with the quality, so that the brain can operate better and faster and easier.
Which brake on your bike is safer to use, front or rear? A lot of new riders intuitively tend to use rear brake more than front because they think it's safer. Why is it so? Let's discuss in this video.
For motorcycle, for bicycle, in what condition, whatever. You are in saddle, you are at the handlebar, you're on own. You are on your own. You decide, you react, so you better prepare. And you understand what you do, of course.
We'll talk about braking on a straight line, braking in a curve, combined braking, braking with front and rear brake separately, with and without ABS, etc. And most importantly, we'll discuss the most common mistakes with front and rear brake, see how they play out and...
So in this moment I stopped the video and I said, alright, I will not watch it on my own, I will watch it with you, because after this one and only particular case, for example, which of course with a motorcycle you just lose the rear and you high side, as in MotoGP, but not because of the brake, because of the throttle, because you lose the grip, so no brake involvement there. But here in the street you use the rear brake. We don't say until here why, how, and different other details in different other situations, but is it important as a question? Is it very important what you do with both front and rear, separate things and independent, with one or another in the same time, maybe with both of them in the same time? Is it very, very important? Yes. And if it's very important, why, from our starting point of view, because I'm not a motorcyclist, whatever, we discuss freely, why in the bicycle industry 4-piston better, power, thank you, always, yes. If you ride cross country, trail, whatever, downhill, yes, more power. In theory, more power, good, thank you, take my money, handshake, have a nice day, go and crash. Is it important? Yes. The power and the control, yes. Are them in a directly proportional quality direction, so more is better? No.
With and without ABS, etc. And most importantly, we'll discuss the most common mistakes with front and rear brake, see how they play out and how to avoid them. This is a pretty important video, especially for a new rider. So, don't forget to put a like and subscribe right now. Let's go! First of all, let's see why the rear brake is widely considered a safer option. First, a lot of people have unpleasant experience on bicycles, when they grabbed the front brake once and flipped over the handlebars. So now, intuitively, they think the same thing will happen on a motorcycle too. Though it is indeed possible, it is not as easy to do on a motorcycle as on bicycle. On bicycle, we have really high center of mass, because bicycle itself is pretty lightweight and we sit on top of it. With motorcycles, it's an opposite situation. It's pretty heavy and it is located underneath our body. So, on any motorcycle, we will have much lower center of mass. On some bikes like cruisers or heavy tourers, we can't flip over the handlebars even if we want to, regardless of how much we pull the brake. On lighter and higher bikes, we still can do a stoppie if the conditions are right, if we have good clean dry pavement and good sticky tires. But it is really not that easy to do, and it doesn't happen as fast as on a bicycle. If you have practiced braking even a little, you'll easily avoid an unintended stopping. So you shouldn't really worry about flipping over the handlebars. It is not very easy to do, and you can easily prevent it even if you have minimal training. But there is a second, much more common scenario. When people just grab the front brake on a motorcycle, very often they lose traction on front tire, which results in low side, like this. Why this happens? When we brake on a motorcycle, no matter how, with front brake, rear brake, or even engine braking, the part of our combined weight transfers to the front wheel. The faster we brake and the higher and shorter our bike is, the more weight transfers to the front wheel. The more weight we have on a tire, the more traction we have on that tire. That's all very nice, but there is a catch. This weight transfer doesn't happen instantly, it takes some time. That means if we just grab the front brake with all our force right away, without waiting for the weight transfer to complete, this way we exceed the maximal braking force which front tire can handle at the given moment. Then front wheel locks up, and when it's locked, it can no longer stabilize our bike, and we end up falling onto our side. Usually, once we lock up the front wheel, we have less than 1 second to release the brake and stabilize the bike. An average reaction time of a human, when it is not prepared, is about 1 second too.
As I said, also for the discussion as it became rolling about brakes in my series of different talkings. Anyway, so if you grab front, rear, doesn't matter. So if you grab and you lock whatever wheel you see here, it's I can say for the motorcycle to lock the front wheel, even if you stop it, so you raise the bike on the front wheel or you just lose the traction, it's more sketchy in my opinion. It's harder, you have a bigger mass and whatever, at least for my experience, for my view as a cyclist. But for the rear wheel also, if you locked the rear wheel, how much time you have to release it so you don't lose yourself, as the yoga whatever things say, you lose yourself, so meditate, lose yourself. How much time you need to be there, to be concentrated and to react, to release that? So average time reaction, as I showed you that you can train, so like here, whatever, so like this, somehow to train, to make a neuronal connection between the eye and the fingers, the body position, or from body position, what you feel, you felt the center of gravity starting to slip, to move away, then you release the brakes. So body to body, the same reaction, action and reaction, as the physics principles say, action, reaction. So the time of reaction is important. Usually you have 1 second to release and 1 second to react. Is it important for you, again, the amount of power you have to your front wheel, to your rear wheel, the time, of course. Is it important? Yes. As I showed you with the wheel for motorcycle, those impulses of the pistons at the big bang, crossplane, screamer, were those fire orders give the impulse to the wheel, or as in the beginning with a bigger disc, which of course with a smaller piston, of course you can touch more points on the same radius. If you of course have the reaction time and also the training or the ability, the skill to do that. Is it important to react good? Is it important, for example, to don't apply maybe in a situation, maybe too much power as shown into this section here, where he say that you don't grab the brakes basically too fast because you lose the grip in front, of course for the rear also, based on the fact that the front wheel you load gradually with more force, with more grip, with more mass, you know, the transfer of mass towards the front. Then what's the importance, at least for the rear wheel? Of course, I'm sick of it. I will make you also sick of it, to have 4 piston, that much power on the rear. And it's not 4 piston as a technological fact today or whatever. It's in general. Why is important to have as much power of brake in front as in the back? For cars, you don't have that. For motorcycles, scooters, you don't have that. Why for bicycles you put 4 front, 4 back? Why? The technique of braking I will not discuss with you. Maybe I actually forgot more than what you will ever actually know, or you with all your family from the beginning of the planet Terra knew and will ever knew. That much I forgot about braking. But anyway, in general stuff, this is very, very, very important about brakes. Also the throttle is important, also the speed, but also brakes.
Then 1 second to release the brake and stabilize the bike. An average reaction time of a human when it is not prepared is about 1 second too. That's why people say, it happened so fast, my bike just suddenly dropped on its side. Therefore, front brake is perceived as unpredictable and dangerous. These are 2 main reasons why people think that front brake can be dangerous and tend to use rear brake more. Let's see what happens when we use rear brake though. If we just use the rear brake only, we end up with very poor braking performance. As we discussed earlier, under braking the weight goes to the front wheel. Initially, at the first moment when we start braking, the weight is distributed more or less even between the front and rear wheels. So both the front and rear brake have somewhere around 50% of stopping power. However, as soon as we start braking, the weight starts to shift forward, and now the rear brake has less and less stopping power. If we just brake with only the rear brake, it will have only around 30% of stopping power. So our stopping distance will be about 2 to 3 times longer if we use rear brake only, instead of both brakes. So that's the first problem with the rear brake. If we need to stop really fast, we can't possibly do it with rear brake only. Our stopping distance will inevitably be too long. Second problem is that rear brake locks up much easier than the front brake. Again, because the weight transfers to the front, we have less tire traction on rear, which means we can exceed the maximum braking force easier, which results in skidding the rear tire. On a straight line, when our bike is completely upright, it is not a big deal really. Yes, we further increase the braking distance, but at least we don't fall down. But as soon as our bike leans just a bit, it starts to drift.
And if you lean a bit and it starts to drift, respond to the next question. More or less power on the rear wheel? In theory, or in practice, or in the industry, or in the marketing, or in the ignorant people, behavior. More! and it will be better in any situation, even though I'm not going downhill like a world champion, whoever athlete, which do that for years and years and years, with team, with mechanics, with doctors, with training each day of the year, in season, off season. Oh, I want four to be better.
If our bike drifts too much, we have two possible outcomes. We either keep the brake locked and lay the bike down, so we get a low side. Or if we suddenly release the brake, rear tire will violently regain traction and bike will flip to another side, catapulting our body. This is called high side. High side is usually considered more dangerous than low side, because with low side we just deal with abrasive wear, unless we hit something in the process of.
So, you as a cyclist, for example, you can't high side or low side because you put too much power into the chain, into the wheel, and of course it starts to spin. You have a lot of power in your legs. All right, it's burning tire. You make a burnout with your feet. Yeah. So you are leaned and you pedal like crazy without touching with the lower pedal into the ground, but you pedal so fast and the rear wheel just drift away and you low-sided because too much power in the chain for you, too much throttle. Even though you have no throttle on the bicycle, you apply too much power. Enough with the jokes. Never. That's why I said you can't do that. You only can go out with the rear wheel in case you low side with the front. So if you lose the front is just sliding and you lose the front, you can let me show you. This is the perfect example in which you will understand. Pause. Alright, so here I am in control with the rear brake. So in case, just in case, because I'm riding on shiny marble, clean shiny marble in the mall, which of course could be very slippery and very dangerous, and I actually knew where the limit of the leaning angle was. If I just tap the front brake, low side, and I'm going to the shop, whatever is written here, show. So I'm going show into this magazine here, into this shop. You can see the leaning angle is big. I try to don't mess around to make fast or stupid moves into this situation. I try gradually, easy, just to look here where the limit is, so I'm not again shattering this glass. somehow, as you can see, I can apply a bit more, but I can't kick the rear wheel out only by the pedal motion because I don't have throttle. So I can drift somehow at the limit, you know, to drift and then just go because I don't have throttle. But in case I would have needed to avoid or to shorten the radius, so in this particular moment, maybe the actual planned best curve, radius, whatever, exit of the corner will be something like this. Something like this. But in case I apply and I kick the rear wheel with my rear brake a bit of slip, then of course the next trajectory will be shorter and more curved in theory. So maybe this is not right what I show you, but in theory this is different than this because I slipped a bit with the rear in case I needed. And of course with my hand at this portion of glass I made sure everything is alright, I don't slip on the slippery marble, and I keep the trajectory at the limit, of course, because I rode here at the limit, but not over the limit. Let's go further. What did you observe? Of course, I will not break down the entire ride, the entire whatever you can call it, the entire run. All right, the entire run. Especially only one point important, even though we can observe here more of them, which are watch this tree here, whatever palm olive tree here. Alright, here is a contundent object, and of course me riding like a boss. You can see, fine, alright. Also coordinated and with the speed, with the touch, so with the landing point, and then somehow combining that with the lean angle again, fluently, not shaking fast, so I slip and go down on this slippery marble, and maybe to get caught by the stewards and whatever. You can see, I don't know how that big of a gap is, but I usually had a big precision, let's say like this. Of course, the same precision can be shown in a different context. The same precision. Right here, So after a combination on the rear wheel, left, right, of course, left close to the bus, right close to that sign, left, right, whatever. Oh, I messed up. So again, 5, 10 centimeters, 5, 10 centimeters with my exterior of hand in, of course, a combination of moves in somehow optimum speed. You can see here some tendons, muscles, and other how is that called, the fatigue, I don't know, it's a saying about arm pump. In this specific moment, no arm pump. I was actually at the beginning of the run, so not that much arm pump, but you could saw a not that fat, like in this moment, fat body and whatever. At that time I had either 73 kilos, either 77. I stayed either on 73, either on 77. For a comparison, today is 85. So I'm a pig, let's say like this. And I actually don't burn anymore. I don't sweat anymore. I don't, cry inside anymore. I don't run anymore. I make some walks to breathe fresh air, but not near close to that level. So the idea was on landing, of course, and the landing need to be also controlled, not a separate thing. It need to be a part of somehow the next combination where you need to be in a specific way. So for example, if you need to enter into the right corner, you need to be here, not like this, not like that. That's a mistake because you go into the nature, whatever, into a car, whatever, off the track. But if you need to be like this with a specific value of speed and in a specific body position, so we can have the leverage to just push the bike, pull the bike, whatever, of course this is even more complicated. You can see here my chest lower somehow to absorb the energy, but the bike is maintained where it need to be maintained. Usually I don't absorb with chest down, so the energy, you could just throw away the bike and whatever the suspension absorb. My suspension in general, air suspension, was actually pumped up really well at a high pressure. I don't like that optimum 20% sag value, so it absorbs whatever rocks, big rocks, soft rocks to bottom out each and every second. I don't like that. So of course you could just let the bike do whatever thing to absorb, but in that moment I go with the bike, I absorbed, and like for example in the 300 movie with Leonidas and Thermopyle, if you were somehow like this with the shield, no, let's say for example me, I'm a right hand rider, whatever, I'm a right hand driver, left hand the shield, right hand the sword. After I absorbed, cut the heck out of the Persians, but from low to the ground, or like for example Mike Tyson, pick a Boeing, and after he managed to somehow slip a punch or avoid a punch, after that point here, you continue the next combination of as you can see from that point right, and then again going to where we need it to be. In this particular situation, again, tiny gap. This was anyway before the well balanced incredible machine NS Bike Surge Evo with some gold XT good stuff XTR Formula R1 brakes, but almost the same level of preparation, of paying attention, of feeling the pain each and every day, both in my legs, both in my body, stressing and training as hard as possible. So again, touching point at a specific position, of course not a random position, so I can somehow start to lean, not with shaking the bike, not in a unstable position, not braking like a stupid monkey, either front, either rear, because either front, low side, either rear, again, maybe a low side, maybe a high side, none of them a good choice. So in this point here, we start to lean, we start to corner at a lean angle. Of course, you can see here is very shiny. This is again shiny, so I can say grip is almost close to zero. If here was somehow freshly cleaned with some water, with some soap, you can imagine zero grip, purely zero grip. And in this point, of course, the trajectory would have been somehow very close to this corner, either to the left, either to the right, either to the middle. I didn't wanted something like that, and as I said, I pushed the rear wheel a bit, I slipped the rear wheel a bit so I can corner shorter, also by the losing both in the brake, so the losing of momentum both with the braking, but the brake was just an impulse, a tap, a short tap, not powerful, no nothing, just a short tap, short impulse. And also because the rear wheel slipped a bit, so on this beautiful marble it let there a bit of a mark, a bit of a, rubber melt, whatever there, sign. Of course that means also a lose of energy, lose of momentum, and both because the bike is not like this, but a bit of correction with the rear out, the next trajectory can be a bit shortened in a now you can hate a bit on me when you need in a crisis situation, and I will hate a bit on me by myself. I don't need your hate. Man, what did you search, or what did you do there in the mall, on the slippery marble, at the limit, with the bike leaned, to need to brake in a crisis situation. It was a crisis situation. I tried to avoid that corner there, that black corner there, so I don't crash, or either I don't risk to crash, and I saved the bike, the ride, the whatever. But the idea is, as I said, with precision, with practice, and with balance. So not with more power, 4-piston, whatever. Even though if you think a bit, you will not ride in the same situation, on the same surface, slippery surface, at the same pace, whatever. The life will push you, or the life will present you situations, of course, which you handle, which you don't handle, and you fail, you learn, whatever, in which, of course, you will test your brakes. Your brakes are not jewelries. You keep at the hand, and maybe sometimes you watch at the hour in the best way possible. You watch at the hour, so the object is basically useless, because you also have a smart telephone, whatever, or you can read the time on your computer, so you basically don't need the watch. The brakes you need, or you will need. In the same way the tires, in the same way suspension, or the geometry, or the body movement, or the strategy, or the experience, or the whatever, or the glasses, so a fly or a mosquito don't enter into your eye in the best or worst possible scenario, so you need to take a hand off the handlebar exactly when you need to brake, and you go, sorry man, a mosquito into my eye, sorry, a fly, I don't know any other small insects, but anyway, a small insect was into my eye, sorry, I crashed into you. No, you need also a helmet, you need gloves and other things.
If we suddenly release the brake, rear tire will violently regain traction and bike will flip to another side, catapulting our body. This is called high side. High side is usually considered more dangerous than low side, because with low side we just deal with abrasive wear, unless we hit something in the process of sliding. So if we have decent gear, we'll probably be okay. With high side, we obviously now have to land somehow, and on top of good gear we need some luck as well. So all in all, locking up the rear brake is not only easier than front, it also can possibly end up in a nastier crash as well. Now let's have a look at combined braking technique. It is considered the most effective one, and rightfully so. However, it also has a downside, which is worth mentioning. In combined braking, we use both brakes for braking with maximum effectiveness. The front brake we squeeze gradually more and more, as the front tire loads more and more. And the rear brake we apply and then gradually release as the rear tire unloads. The trick is that there is a lot of stuff going on simultaneously. We have to control the front brake and apply it effectively, but not too much or too fast. And at the same time, we have to deal with rear brake, which is extremely easy to lock up since we are braking fast, and almost all weight now is on the front wheel. That's a really hard thing to pull off, and it requires a lot of practice. And more important, we have to practice on a regular basis. Luckily, now we have ABS systems on our bikes, which are really a game changer. Now even people who don't practice combined braking much can use it without fear of locking up any brakes. Practicing emergency braking is still important, because we still need to teach our brain on how fast we can brake. Without that, we often can't correctly choose the proper speed on the road. For students who don't have ABS on their bike, I personally recommend to practice combined braking a lot, and until you really master that, you can restrict to using only the front brake. you will still have the most of braking force, like about 80-90% of your total braking effectiveness. But there will be almost no chance for you to high side, and you will have much more attention on the front brake, so you will have less chance of low siding as well. Alright, now let's look at corner braking. What's going on there? Basically, all the stuff from braking on a straight line also applies in corners too. We still have weight transfer, so the front brake is still more effective than the rear. Also, now if we lock up the rear wheel, we are guaranteed to go drifting. And if we don't manage to release the rear brake correctly in time, this will end up either in a low side or a high side.
The whole point of my discussion about the 4-piston, 2-piston rear brake, both as power, both as bigger surface, which on a radius of the disc, of course, can with the smaller piston can lock the rear wheel in theory more often or multiple times compared to the 4-piston. And of course, if you don't have the heating brake, the optimum temperature to actually perform as the manufacturer thought and engineered that product, of course, maybe more power would just, or more power at, or the same power but with a smaller input into your finger would be more uncontrollable, and maybe if you need to release the brake, you don't release it, or it grabs too much or whatever. This is the idea I'm talking about, but presenting it into this series about how many times you could grab the rear rotor with each caliper size.
And with front brake, we still have to use progressive braking technique, but now we have to be even more slow and careful, since part of our traction already goes to cornering forces. Obviously, the more we lean, the less we can brake. Fortunately, due to friction circle, which we'll conveniently skip because it's boring even for my channel, we can brake rather hard even when we have decent lean angles. Additional concern about braking in corner is how our bike behaves under braking. When our bike is leaned, the contact patch of the tire is no longer on the center line directly below the bike. It is offset now. When we apply a front brake, because the contact patch is offset, it makes the front wheel turn inside more than necessary, which produces the effect similar to countersteering. As a result, our bike tends to stand up and go wide. On the other hand, when we brake, we lose speed, which makes our bike go tighter. Normally, these two processes roughly cancel each other out. Our bike simultaneously slows down and stands up, and our trajectory remains more or less the same. This effect is more pronounced on bigger lean angles. On casual everyday angles, bike really don't tend to stand up that much, but if we try to squeeze the front brake too fast, our bike can indeed stand up and go wider than we want. So the key here is usual. We need to apply front brake in a smooth and controlled way and keep our arms as loose and relaxed as it's possible. This way we can effectively brake mid-corner, despite a lot of people are scared to do that. As front and rear brake goes, again, front brake has much more stopping power, and if used incorrectly can lead to the low side. Rear brake has just a fraction of stopping power, it's much easier to lock up, and when locked up, can either lead to a low side or a high side. Just like with braking on a straight line, ABS system saves us from locking up wheels, which is a massive insurance for braking mid-corner. New bikes with corner and ABS even prevent our bike from standing up, even if we squeeze the front brake too fast. So again, can't recommend anti-lock systems enough for street riding. they really can have our back in case we make a mistake. So let's make a conclusion. Despite the popular opinion that the rear brake is much safer to use than front, that's not really the case. When used incorrectly, both brakes can lead to a crash. Rear brake can even be more dangerous because often it can lead to a high side. More so, rear brake doesn't really have much stopping power, so we just have to master the front brake if we want to be able to stop fast. Ideally, we should be able.
For me, this is very funny, but of course stupid.
Doesn't really. It can lead to a high side. More so, rear brake doesn't really have much stopping power.
Oh, this is so sweet. So the rear brake doesn't really have much stopping power. No problem. I will put 2 more piston. Now it have. No man, this is the sentence which you of course read as it is. The rear brake don't have really much that stopping power, but the solution or the thing is it can't have because it's physics. You know, it's the behavior of both motorcycles and cars. So it's not about, oh, I solved the physics, I put there a 4 piston, now it have. No, it don't have. It will have less control. Even though you think you have more power, you can't use that power, man. You can't use. So it don't have power. It don't have power because you can't use. If I have, for example, money, I'm billionaire. Like, for example, Colombian whatever king of bad things and whatever, but I dig up holes and I put there cash money, but I can't use those because are dirty money, because are black money, you know, are illegal money. Am I still that rich? I can't use those money, or I can use, of course, a bit of them, but the rest I dig, I bury somewhere there. In a forest, I dig a hole there. Oh, now I have money. No, you don't. You don't, somehow.
So we just have to master the front brake if we want to be able to stop fast. Ideally, we should be able to use combined braking effectively. Yes, it can be a bit tricky and requires a lot of practice, but really it always pays off sooner or later.
Oh, so you need to practice. You need to practice. Oh man, but I am rich. I am whatever. I can buy an Enduro or whatever with 4 piston. For me, few grams, as a GMBN guy said. What is your trade-off? Few grams or bigger stopping power? What do you want? A bit 50, 100 grams more or less? What do you want? 100 grams less or more power? At my money, at my weight, it doesn't matter. Give me more power. At my money, no problem. 4 piston, 200 more or whatever. Give me 4 piston. I don't care. I don't have time is money. I have a lot of money, but I don't have time to practice. Give me those 4 piston. I don't need to practice. I need power because I have time. I have money. Who cares about practice? Synchronization, the front and rear. Oh man, you shut the fuck up.
In this regard, an ABS system can be massive help. It doesn't spare us from training completely, but it massively reduces the cost of our mistakes, which is pretty nice. Here I will leave a video on proper braking technique with exercises. So if you haven't watched it yet, give it a look, it's pretty important. If you like this video, please put a like and hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching and hope to see you soon. Bye.
So now, because we have a bit of fun and rechaptered, remembered and repracticed some very important skills, which of course the Bosch ABS of course is interesting, this you know, bicycle new thing with whatever ABS, whatever dumb stupid thing. So yeah, the ABS solve everything for you. So of course you have big power, you don't practice, you pay a lot, of course you can afford ABS. You're a monkey who don't know to ride and don't even learn to ride, and whatever, everything is solved now. So you have more power and ABS, and you can stay quiet and happy. You can dream, you know, ships into the nights, and everything is good. But who created this problem? So you come up with this stupid solution. Oh, I put more weight on e-bikes, then I introduce more pistons, more power for all the bikes, not only for e-bikes, because the 4 pistons are not recommended or presented as only for e-bikes, because you don't need. Oh, you want to put 4 pistons on whatever, as you saw with a stupid 160 cheap $10 disc, no problem. You can do whatever you want. And they came up with the solution. Oh, we have now the ABS. Is the ABS solution? No, because you can refine that solution. You can have multiple versions of ABS. You can have a tamer ABS, a sharper ABS, and whatever. A big problem, which by itself is nothing good, let's say. Of course, you need to practice also with the ABS to synchronize with it, to understand it. If you somehow push and learn to the limits, and you have big aspirations or big requirements from the system, and the idea is the same. You don't escape from practicing. Of course, with ABS, with no ABS, whatever. If you're just there one day or one weekend on the year on a bike, you can go with ABS, no ABS, 4 piston, 2 piston, rim brake, whatever. You can just go and have some fun. But if you want to understand, and if you are willing to practice, to go to see with your own sensors, and to discover in an empiric way the whole experience with what it involves and whatever, of course a object can't do that for you. But of course you can adjust your system with the proper objects needed, or you know, chosen by their function, which of course need to work for you, not against you. A short break now. We will start. What I said will be very boring, and you will find what it is. A beautiful photo with what seemed to be only one bike, but you can see here that are 2 frames, and also you can observe a different wheel size, which of course in front is not relevant, because the one closer to us is a 26, the one in the back 27.5, but if we compare rear to rear, we have 26 in the front, and that one there is a 29. of course on the same frame, just a note. The one with the 26-inch is a L size, the other one is a M size, so a bit longer, this one, the other one shorter. You can observe very good the difference in wheel size. They are somehow placed in the same way, easier to see by the way with the naked eye than on camera, but you can see the level from the ground is lower on 26-inch, which of course mean a lower bottom bracket and a lower center of mass, center of gravity. By the pure size of the wheels, of course, maybe is not the best example to show and actually see how much bigger the 29-inch wheel is from the 26, but it's a lot. So if you intend to lean the bike, this is more appropriate, and of course you can lean more angle with this, and of course with this pedals solution than with that. Of course, as for motorcycles, when you lean with the bike and you look at the rear wheel, if you see any marks on this side, so a consequence from your leaning angle and of course your experience and how much you try to push with a wheel which tend to lean faster and more, let's say for the same frame you will lean more, and of course this thing would be the consequence on the tire input, because the tire need to grip when it's on the side. In the same way for 29, of course, the actually extreme sides of the tire would remain in the same example, in the same corner, untouched, as a let's say riding style, riding consequence, just by a bigger size wheel, because with the bigger size you don't lean as much, and of course on the tire pattern you tend to ride more on the center and not as much on the extreme sides, as for example with 26, which you flick very fast a bit. For example, you grip there, you push, you put the center of mass, your mass there, it grips, and from there you just push and exit the corner, as in motorcycle it said the apex. So a big difference. I wanted to show you this. Let's search now and let's remember a bit the possibilities of hubs, of characteristics as standard, new standard boost, old standard, new boost, extra boost, or whatever, how they actually call these inventions, and why they actually keep inventing new and new standards. So boost standard when 148, let's write like this. So 2015, maybe in 2014 it was implemented by Americans or Trek or whoever changed again this thing. Let's listen a bit to me, but also me skipping here and there and filtering a bit so we can move a bit faster with the informations.
Thinking about this Shimano Dior XP wheel, which I can't use on any of my bikes, on my frames, because a very simple reason, but annoying one. So the length of this axle from end to end is 142 millimeters, and the width is 12 millimeters. So I have a DH bike which has 150 millimeters, and of course for 12, but you can't do this hub wider. So the only solution, or so the only path to think about a solution, is to make the wheel, the hub, shorter, smaller. So in order to find a solution, I thought about the next size, viable size, which is 135 with 10. This sound acceptable, but I had to check if it is possible. So I came up to the conclusion, watching this this view, this technical model, that in order to have the disc in the same place between the pads, adjusting only the caps of the hub, I have to reduce from 18.7 to 15.2. Of course, on each side, the other side doesn't matter, but if you think about 3.5 millimeters, it's exactly half of 7, which is the difference between 142 and 135. So now, because we found the answer to this question, if I can shorten these caps. Of course, visually you can see there is a lot of material which I can touch with my magical hands. Of course, both sides. I'm gonna show you, but not now, what's important about this material. Now the next question and the next answer comes from the width of this axle. So from 12 inner diameter we need to have 10. So how do we solve this? Very simple. With a bar which costs less than $3 and have the outer diameter 12 millimeters and 1 millimeter width. So 12 minus 1 minus 1 means 10. Alright, this is the theoretical part. Now let's move to the practical part. Now let's start the mayhem. As you can see, here I have a hub. It's a 618 Shimano Dior, which have the exact same size as the Dior XT, which I like to use on my bikes, but I can't. And also I don't want to sell because I'm obsessed by Shimano Dior XT and the XTR. The main difference, of course, are some fine details, like the material between this cup and this cup. This one looks to me like aluminum, which is lighter and helps the hub overall to be a little bit better. I don't know if the balls and the cones are different or the cassette. It doesn't matter anyway, because this hub I had from a wheel, which I of course couldn't use, and by replacing this hub with another one, of course this is now either a spare part, which I can't use even for spare because I don't have nothing similar to use and break and change, and either for sale because no one buy something like this. I try to sell it for nothing, but no one needs it. This is very good because now I have an idea, and to show my respect to the Shimano factory and their work, just a sec.
And I still show my respect to Shimano factory, and I will show even more respect to Shimano factory if you stay with me until the end, and you will see that even Hope, DT Swiss, and other you name them good companies, premium companies, somehow create the caps that fit on different models, and they somehow are better than Shimano. As Toyota, Honda corporations, of course, are best. You can take a part from there, from there, from there. You can adjust a bit, you can do different things. And even though they don't offer that possibility, which just a big problem here. Even though they don't offer in many cases that possibility to convert, to change the cups to whatever, and even Novatec does that with 4-in-1, so you have 4 types of cups which you can change at the same hub, and you can fit on different sizes. Shimano don't do that at any of their products. Let's say is not good, but Shimano is supported. Pay respect to Shimano, they are good.
Second two. I can't see if this is Japan, but I think it should be Japan. This is Malaysia. So nothing personal with Malaysia, but I'm gonna apply my solution to this hub. I think you can do the same on better quality products, but I don't give a hoot about this hub, and I'm gonna sacrifice it. As you can see here, this is a DT Swiss True axle 135 with 150 or 152, as you can see, 152 millimeters M10. I like this axle, very stiff compared to standard quick release with 5 millimeters, not 10, to
Make a rigid structure.
to apply force on the frame and make a rigid structure.
Yeah, make a rigid structure.
Now, as you can see, this is the bar I bought very cheaply, and I measured 3.5 millimeters, and 3.5 is exactly where this mark starts on both sides. So I'm gonna try to remove the material with maximum care to keep the perfect shape.
Just a mentioning, this bar, which is a different one, I used that bar and I bought another one. This is the one at $2.50, $3 anyways, which is iron, which is steel. But of course, if you pay double or triple the price, you can get a part of it lighter, aluminum. So in this special application, you can understand that I also make some compromises here and there. Somehow some of them are used good, other ones you can see are actually a big compromise between steel and aluminum for just a tiny small price. And you can decide for you better somehow if you want all the marginal gains and whatever. That time I used another donor. Here I have another one, the same model, Shimano Dior. So this is the Shimano Dior Malaysia 142 in 142 width with a diameter of 12 millimeters. Very easy, as you see into this video, to adapt, to shorten for a 135 quick release conversion. But for the other one, which is the boost size, the 148, so not 142, is a lot of more complicated. It's very complicated, let's say like this. Not because only 3 millimeters in each side. So let me finish my idea. Cheap, alright, somehow cheap, but me bought a Dior XT this time to sacrifice for the project, which of course is not cheap. So me thinking now, maybe I should have bought an aluminum one for the first time and actually to save some weight. But you know, if you want to do it by yourself, maybe you buy a Dior, not Dior XT, and with the rest of the money you buy 3 bars, 4 bars, aluminum bars, premium bars, and whatever. I finished my idea about the bar and quality and other things. Now, comparing the two hubs between them, let me just alright, so let's compare the two hubs between them. This is aka the boost one, but the first boost 142, that's why I said a lot of dimensions and stupid things from all the manufacturers, not only from Shimano. All the manufacturers try to change the caps, the end caps, for a smaller axle, for a more width, whatever stupid things. Shimano don't do that, and they actually sell hubs as they are. But the idea is next one. You can see here the flanges actually are wider for the boost, which means the width not only comes into the ends of the axle of the cups, but from the middle of the hub you add more here, more there, and also you add at the ends, which of course is a significant problem, very big problem for us, for me, who I asked the question, is it possible to fit a boost, but not regular boost, but the big boost into a standard quick release? So in this way, comparing with the old solution, which of course it works, I can buy another hub like this cheaply and I can make whatever project I want. The new boost, and being engineers, of course, we can understand and we can agree and we can accept this idea. The new boost is stiffer, and just with your mouth, oh man, it's not that stiff or whatever, do it like this or whatever. Yes, you can do it with mouth and accept the compromise, as I accepted with the iron bar, but in the end there is no argue, this one is stiffer. So if I actually want to somehow make a 10 millimeters axle work instead of 12 millimeter standard, whatever, oh, it needs a bit of whatever, it doesn't enter, but anyways, from 12 to 10 it's alright. From iron to aluminum it's alright. But what should I say about someone who debate with me, man, your wheel is stiffer because it has a wider distance between flange 1 and flange 2, where the spokes are hooked. I have nothing to say, I understand. In our experiment it is a problem, of course, because all the rest of the dimensions are disturbed, let's say like this, very politely, even though we can talk a bit more vulgar anyway, for no reason. So let's not talk vulgar because there's no reason to talk vulgar. So from here, if you add few millimeters, that means the disc position, of course, will move in exterior, and also the cassette with all its components also will move more in exterior, if you can actually somehow make this fit into 135. So if you cut a piece from here and a piece from here, yes, you make that fit there, but if you try to somehow install the disc and the cassette are in the wrong place. And how wrong can they be? A bit wrong, more wrong? Is it acceptable or not? Is it possible to make a quick adjustment both to the cassette or to the disc somehow and to adjust? And now I will show you one thing, and we will continue with the operation to make in general an old standard 142 feet in 135, and to somehow make and create an idea of what would have been required to make the fitment right for a 148 millimeter, or if it is actually somehow possible in the frame how it was created, if it's actually possible, this thing. Pause, and again I will show you something interesting. So, observing the end result, this is the wheel. I need to tighten a bit this spoke. Yeah, this is loose. And this one also. Yeah, but the wheel is straight for me to show you, just for fun. So we divagate from the subject, but anyways, this is the hub, this is the fitment, that's the conversion from the video. The idea what I suggested to discuss a bit is this thing. You can see here I grinded a bit this adapter, which of course is not expensive, is how you can say, just an adapter. If you can consume this, break this, whatever, not a problem. Of course, if the screws damage the thread, no problem. So you just replace this one with a new one, and you fix it here, no problem. In any way, shape or form. So if you somehow grind it a bit because of some misalignment, different problems, multiple problems, not that hard or not that bad to change a bit to it. Of course, you have these two screws to adjust somehow where the disc is placed between the pads, but the play is very narrow, so you can't, because also the width of the caliper here is not that much. If the wheel, if the disc comes in exterior much, very much, and of course now you understand that is not possible that much, you can't do anything either from caliper and either by grinding the adapter, let's say for example half of centimeter, so let's say 3, 4, 5 millimeters. Impossible, even though it has some material there. Maybe you split it in half, you risk yourself to crash like an idiot. For example, I can see here some brown marks, small brown marks, very fine brown marks, very thin brown marks, which is a good sign. So yeah, not that much possibility to make the things work in this case. Maybe you can understand better from here. So just imagine if the rotor it's coming outwards a important value, then it's almost impossible to play just with the caliper. But as you see in this situation, of course, between the disc, so right here and here where you see my finger, not there, let me, here, so from here to the disc is somehow some space from here to play. Maybe don't grind that much from this adapter, and somehow you made things work. The disc don't touch into the frame in any position, and somehow you make it fit. And I actually mean somehow. Easy, hard, safe or not, somehow you make it fit there for the disc side. Studying in the same way my KTM racing bike, aluminum, 29-inch RockShox Reba XTR brakes, XTR 9-speed group set, except the cranks, which are some Alivio whatever with some crap chain rings and the crap chain. Of course, no need for a moment for more. Also the cogs are regular Dior 9-speed or whatever. Anyways, about the rear setup of the brake, you can see these limits here are actually part of the frame.